It's about 1:20. I am here to start my next reading vlog. It is February 24th, so I have about 3 weeks until I go back to work. I'm going to kind of take the next 3 weeks and kind of focus on reading a bunch of contemporary before I actually am back in the building. But I did want to say that I am starting this reading vlog with Yes, No, Maybe So by Becky Albertalli and Alicia Syed. I really am liking this book. It's very, very fun. I read about 50 pages last night before I went to bed, and it's just like a fun, it's definitely making me laugh. Like, I really am liking it. But it basically follows these two characters. You follow Jamie and you follow Maya. And they are eventually going to be involved in working this political campaign. Jamie is deathly shy and does not like talking in front of people. Like, that's so my life. And Maya is dealing with a lot. She's her parents are getting divorced. It's summer break. Her best friend is like so busy, doesn't have time for her. So these two people's paths wind up crossing as they wind up unexpectedly working on a political campaign. And because we're in an election year, I've been trying to read a bunch more political themed contemporaries. I actually have quite a few on my TBR. But this book right now is just making me laugh. I think Becky is such a funny writer. I have never read anything by Alicia Syed, but I am also liking Maya as a character. They haven't met yet. I'm only on chapter 4. So that's my reading plan for this week. The book I'm going to start this video with. And I'm also listening to Winter by Marissa Meyer. I am planning on going for a bike ride later, but because I went to physical therapy this morning, I didn't get to go in the morning. I also am still going to do my Skillshare class. I also started a new book in my last couple of reading vlogs, my nonfiction reading. I was reading Creativity Inc., which is the Pixar book. This book is So You Want to Talk About Race, which is another one of my nonfiction readings that I want to tackle before school starts. I was able to read 2 chapters. And now I'm going to go do my Skillshare class so I can get those done. But yeah, so when I come back and I read a little bit more of Yes, No, Maybe So, I'll update you guys. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Hey here, I'm just checking back in. It's about 3:21. I did actually wind up reading to page 100 in Yes, No, Maybe So by Becky Albertalli and Alicia Syed. I am really liking this book. I am so fond of books that kind of take our real life and kind of put it in a book, because I think it's super important. You could tell this book was written early, like 2016, 2017, I would say, because it just came out this year. But you could tell that it really is set in 2019 or 2018. But basically, these two characters are very different. You have Jamie, who's a Jewish young man, and his cousin is involved in getting a Democrat elected in Congress in, I think they're in Atlanta, which actually did happen, like, in real life. So they're kind of loosely basing it on that. And then you have Maya, who's Muslim, and her world is kind of falling to pieces. Her parents are getting divorced. She doesn't really have a lot planned for the summer. So they kind of team up to kind of start canvassing for this political campaign. And they start going door to door. And, you know, they're very different characters, I'll say that. Also, Jamie is very shy about public speaking, but this book is so freaking funny, and I think it has a really nice balance between being super hysterical, but also dealing, like, very much, sorry, I have chocolate all over my face, but it has a nice balance between being really funny, but also being really poignant. I'm loving Jamie's point of view a lot. I also love learning about both of their backgrounds, because that's not my background. I also live in New York, so I always find it interesting to read about books set in, like, Atlanta, Georgia or something. But politics never really comes up, so I like that this book is definitely tackling that. It's just a really well done read. I'm really intrigued to see where it's gonna go, and I'm love that this book was written. I think this is a great book to read for young people, to see how you can stand up for your own beliefs, even if your town or your country or your state doesn't really like work with your beliefs. They did have a very, like, hard-hitting encounter, so I will say there is some racist issues that will be brought up in this book, so you may want to watch that, or if it's triggering to you. But I do like that they are tackling it. I think it's really important. And I'm loving the political canvassing that's happening. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on Yes, No, Maybe So. I really am like liking it. I think it's a very, very fun, enjoyable read. It's also like it's definitely set in the summer as well. But I've been trying to freaking post or schedule my TBR for fall, and I think I'm just gonna have to refilm it, which sucks because it took me like 30 minutes to film that video. So I'm gonna try one more time to kind of like get it to go, but I think I might just have to refilm it. So I'll probably do that later. But for some reason that occasionally happens when I use iMovie. Sometimes my clips don't always work, but it was a long video, so I might just have to redo it. But I'm gonna try one more time to see if I can get it to post, and then I'm probably gonna have to go refilm it. But I did want to say that I did get to page 100 in this book. But yeah, so I'll talk to you guys when I read a little bit more, but I'm definitely flying through this book. And it's not short. It's like over 400 pages, but I'm really, really liking it, and I think that this would definitely be a good read if you want to add some political things into your contemporaries, because this book, kind of like Yes, No, Maybe So, is another book that kind of had the political elements, but this book, the characters are really what's capturing me, and their experiences are making this book even more poignant. So back to reading I go. A little bit later, I actually did wind up going for a bike ride. I have about an hour left in winter. I did increase my speed a little bit. So I'm really excited. I'll probably finish that book tomorrow for sure. I do have to go for a bike ride tomorrow, but I will probably be able to finish it. I also did make a bit more progress on Yes, No, Maybe So. I'm now on page 155. This book is a book that you really have to go in kind of emotionally prepared. Because it's a hard read, I'll say that. And I think it's a very hard read, but it's a nice balance between like fun and laughing and funny jokes, charming characters, but also some really like hard issues, and it's issues that like we have been dealing with for the past 4 years, and I just think it's really wrapped up in a book, and I'm liking it. It's definitely I'm liking the friendship romance elements between these characters. It may lead to more right now, but right now it's just friendship. But it's like it's hard. You know, you have a Jewish character in one point of view, you have a Muslim teen girl in the other point of view, and it takes place in Alabama, and the policies that they're kind of fighting and who they're canvassing for and the rhetoric that they're coming when they're going canvassing is hard. It's very hard to read. You get some very, very nice people, but you also get some very, very mean people. And it's just hard. It's a very, very fun, like I can't stop reading, but it is a little bit of an emotional read, I will say that. But I'm going to go back to reading, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Right here, I did actually wind up reading a little bit more last night, so I got to page like 200 in, Yes, No, Maybe So. Sorry, it's in my bag because I packed it because I have to go to yoga today. But I also did watch a bunch of episodes of Good Witch and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. last night. That was kind of my break because one of the conventions I watched is kind of over. But I did want to say that I am going to try my hardest to participate in the summer readathon for Owlcrate. I have like 3 books that are on my TBR. So this reading vlog is probably going to go until Friday. And then I'm probably going to like move on to those books because I haven't read an Owlcrate book since like April, and I have a lot that I have to read, so I'm probably going to focus on those. But I'm going to go do my nonfiction reading for the day, which is So You Want to Talk About Race, which is a book that I've been really, really enjoying. I've only read the first like 2 chapters of it. And then I'm probably going to do my Skillshare class, that I have to head to yoga, come back, and then I'm going to start planning because we have about 2 weeks until we're supposed to go back to school, and I still don't feel it anymore, like any more confident that I'm planned enough to do that, so I have to devote a little bit of time to that today. And then I really hope I'm able to finish that book today, honestly. Like, I hope I am. I definitely am going to finish my audiobook for winter because I have about an hour left, which is like 30 minutes because I'm listening to it on double speed. But yeah, I'm going to go do my nonfiction reading, take my Skillshare class, head to yoga, and then I'll update you guys when I get back. Bye. 31. I actually did get a lot of work done today. Like, I think I got like 3 weeks of planning done, which is really 6 weeks of planning because I'm planning 2 different potentialities if we're going to be online or if we're going to be in school or some mix of in between. So I actually got 6 weeks of planning done all together, which is actually pretty good. I definitely want to have at least 2 months set, so I still have to do a little bit more, but I feel like I'm on like a good path. But I did also want to say that I did actually finishing listening to Winter by Marissa Meyer. I have to add that to Goodreads. I have to remind myself. I really love the concluding novel in that series. I think Cress is still my favorite book by far, but I really did like Winter. I think Winter's probably my second favorite, but I really enjoyed it. Now I really want to read the Wires and Nerves duology because that's kind of like the aftermath of that series. But I also did get up to page 250 in Yes, No, Maybe So by Becky Albertalli and Alicia Syed. Still a very, very good book. It definitely deals with a lot of like hard issues like racism and political stuff, but it's done in such like a really captivating way. And I like that the characters are like their backgrounds are really interesting. You have a Jewish young man and then you have a Muslim teen girl, and the policies that they're dealing with in Alabama really do affect their lives, and I think that that's like really, really interesting. I also think for teenagers to see the elements of canvassing and what you can do as a teen, even though you can't technically vote, is also super powerful. But I'm really, really liking this. I'm loving that they're definitely friends first, and I tend to gravitate. I tend to like romances that go from friendship to more if it goes that way. But there also is a lot of friendship dynamics in the stuff that the Maya's dealing with, and I really just love, I just really, really love Jamie's family and Jamie as a character. He's super funny and he's super charming. He's kind of like a cinnamon roll. Like, Becky always writes really, really cinnamon roll-like characters. Like, it reminds me of Arthur, which she wrote with Adam Silvera. But, yeah, so I am going to go do a few little things, and then I'll come back and let you guys know how much more progress I made. But I hope to tackle the rest of this book tonight. That's my secret hope. Talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye. Alright, just checking back in. It's almost 8 o'clock. I did wind up reading up to page 300 in Yes, No, Maybe So. I'm really, really quite fond of this book. I think it might be probably like close to a 5-star read for me. I think the political stuff is just so amazing and I love it. I think it's a really important read for 2020, I think, and even beyond 2020. I like that it really is focused on politics, but it's more about like standing up for what you believe in and finding a way to get your voice out. I just love the cast of characters in this read. I really love Jamie as a character. I love Maya. I think what this book did that So You Say It First by Katie Cotugno didn't do is that I felt these characters really had something at stake in this America that we're all living in right now, because they're not, they're, one's a Jewish young man and one's a Muslim girl. And I thought that their stakes in this, because the bill that's being put on the table if this Republican wins, would be that women would be in trouble. Women wouldn't be able to wear headscarves, because of various reasons, and that's kind of what's pushing them in this direction. But there's also a lot of like anti-Semite stuff that's happening for these characters, and it's just very, very compelling. Like, it's a read that I'm having a really, really hard time putting down. I have about 150 pages left, so I'm going to try to make a little bit more reading progress. I normally watch TV in the evening, but I didn't get to read all day because I was working, so it's possible I might read a little bit more, but I really, really am enjoying this read. Here, it is August 26th. It is a Wednesday. Last night, I did actually wind up watching a couple of episodes of The Good Witch, and I also did wind up getting up to page 350 in Becky Albertalli and Alicia Syed's Yes, No, Maybe So. This book is definitely becoming really, really interesting. I really like the elements of it. I like how it's definitely going from friends to something more. I love the political elements of this book so much. I think that this should be a book that every teenager should read, because I think the romance thing is very, very fun. I think there's a lot of like fun stuff about friendship and, high school and stuff like that. But the political elements of this book makes it seem so easy to like do if you really, really feel compelled. I think the characters are really what's capturing me because they're so different from my point of view. I'm liking it. I think I have about like 100 pages left, so I'm probably gonna go do my nonfiction reading, which I am reading So You Want to Talk About Race, which is a book that's been high on my TBR with everything going on in the world. So I read about 10%. I'm going to try to read a little bit more. And then I'm also going to do my Skillshare class. And then I'm probably going to go for a bike ride. And then today I'm going to continue working. I hope I can work outside. That's like with the basic plan. But I did actually get some work done yesterday, which was good. So I'm going to go do my nonfiction reading, my Skillshare class, and then I'll check in with you guys. Bye. Just got back from my mini reading. I wound up reading a chapter of So You Want to Talk About Race, and I thought it was very interesting to read it. I really am intrigued by it. This book is definitely less of a workbook and more of like a lot of information, but I'm liking it. Definitely happy that I'm writing stuff down because I think it's super helpful. Sorry, the phone's going off, but I'm not going to answer it because it's never for me. But I also did wind up finishing a Skillshare class. I finally broke down and just got the year-long membership because for the foreseeable future, I'm probably not going to be going out a lot. So yeah, I figured I would just get it and then and I really do like the classes. I am not a Skillshare ambassador or anything, but I am really, really liking it. I just wound up finishing a minimalist class, which I am like the opposite of a minimalist, but I actually really wound up liking the class. So I'm going to try to go for a bike ride. It looks like it might be a little bit windy. But I do want to tackle the rest of Yes, No, Maybe So. That is my goal. So when I come back, hopefully I'll be done with this, and then I can give you guys my ending thoughts. So, talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye. It's Lori here, I'm back. I did actually wind up going for a bike ride. I did actually finish listening to the whole audiobook of Wonder because there was like a 15-minute interview with Marissa and Meyer that I wound up listening to, which I really, really liked. And I did wind up finishing Yes, No, Maybe So by Becky Albertalli and Alicia Syed. I really, really like this book. I thought it had a nice balance between political stuff, but also like diversity and also romance and friendship. I thought it was like a great read. I really would recommend this book to a lot of people because I think it tackled the political realm, and especially with you, like what young kids can do when they feel kind of powerless. It really was very, very representative of America in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, where we are right now. It was a book that I really was inspired by, and I really liked the characters. I think the characters and their diversity really pushed this book to another level, and that's probably the highlight. I loved Jamie as a character. He was hysterical. He's so funny, such a charming guy, but also I just liked Maya. I thought that normally in a book you have like a big blow up. I thought the big blow up was kind of an interesting way to do it. But it didn't end the way I thought it was going to end. I'll say that, like in regards to the political stuff. But it was a book that really taught me about political canvassing and calling and texting and why this stuff is so important in regards to like real elections. I wound up really, really liking this book. I'd want to give it like 4.75 stars, if not a 5-star read. It hasn't got a lot of love. Like, I haven't heard a lot of people talking about this book. But it's one that really surprised me. I'll say that. I didn't go in thinking I was going to love it, but I really, really did. It's probably going to make one of my top 10 contemporary books of the year. It was definitely longer. I mean, it was like a little bit over 400 pages, but I read it very, very fast. And I think that was largely due to the humor of it. And also, it talked a lot about, you know, the good guy and the bad guy, and how there really is no good guy or bad guy in politics, or, you know, what happens when we say nothing because something's not affecting us. And I thought that that was a really, really powerful message to get across, and one that really, like, touched my heart. And again, kind of with The Quiet You Carry, it did have some very, very emotional moments in it. But the friendship moments were really, really hot. I love the family in this book. I just thought it, like, for both characters, it was a great read. So I actually am going to go do some work for school because I do have to get that done. But while I'm doing that, I'm kind of going to think about my next read. I don't know what I want it to be, but I have a couple of ideas. But when I come back at like 3 or 4, I'll probably update you guys and choose my next read. But just know that if this is not on your TBR, it really, really should be. Bye, guys. Right here, just checking back in. It's almost 5 o'clock. I did actually wind up choosing my next read, and I wound up starting it. So I am going to read Time of Our Lives by Emily Weberly and Austin Sigmund Broca. This is their newest book. I think it came out in May. A it's not a Shakespeare retelling, but it basically follows these two characters, Fitz and Juniper. So it's dual, like you get both their point of views, and they're basically both going on this college tour. So they're seniors. It's set like in between October and Christmas before they have to start, like, you know, putting in their applications. Fitz is very adamant that he knows exactly what college he wants to go to, and he thinks that this tour is kind of like a waste of time in a sense because he kind of knows he's not going to change his mind. And Juniper is going on this trip with her boyfriend, and she's kind of very excited to go on it. But some of her family members are not that thrilled that she's going with a boy. So I'm sure their paths will kind of cross. But I really do like Fitz's point of view right now. I think he's like a very, very fun character. And I always love a redhead. I'll say that. That's one of the tropes I really, really like. But I am going to keep reading this. I actually am going to choose my September TBR right now because I have a little bit of time. And I was gonna wait until a couple of my orders came in from Penguin because I got some of the mystery boxes, but I don't know when they're coming, so I want to at least kind of figure out my September TBR. I do normally read some spooky things, and I actually have quite a few on my TBR, so I'm gonna kind of figure that out. But I'm not starting this TBR until I go back to work, so it's gonna be like a week of Contemporary and then some fall reads, so because I have a lot of books out of the library. But I'm going to go pick I'm going to go pick my TBR, and then I'll come back and chat with you guys before I start Time of Our Lives. We're just checking back in. I did actually wind up reading quite a bit of, well, 50 pages in Time of Our Lives by Emily Webberly and Austin Sigmund Broca. This is definitely going to be a hard-hitting read. It's starting in like a little bit of a weird place, I'll say that, with the female character because she has a boyfriend at the start of this book, so that's gonna be a potential plot point that's gonna be interesting. I'll say that. Like, I'm curious, like, if this is necessarily to become a romance, how that plot point will work. But I do like both characters. As I said before, they're very, very different. Fitz's mom has the gene for early onset Alzheimer's, so he's kind of stuck in like a holding pattern because he's so afraid that like he's not going to be there for his mom. So that's why he really doesn't want to go on this trip. But he is going with his brother, and Juniper is going with her boyfriend, and I guess they're potentially going to meet up at some point. But you are diving in a little bit into Fitz's past. We just had a chapter where like you kind of learn like like both him and his brother are adopted, but their parents got divorced. And he's very, very much determined to help his mother in any way that he can. And then you have Juniper, who's the oldest of, like, a lot of kids. And she really is excited to get out of her family house. And some of her family members are not that thrilled about that. So you kind of see them coming at this from two very different point of views about what they think their future will be. Fitz is very determined to go to this one college, and he doesn't really want to do this college tour because he doesn't think he's going to do it. And then you have Juniper, who's very, very set to go out and tackle the world. So their point of views are a little bit different, which I am liking. But yeah, I think I'm going to take a little bit of a break, and I'm going to play a little bit of Animal Crossing before I dive back into this for the evening. I'm probably going to read at least like my goal is to get to page like 100. So I'm going to go play a little bit of Animal Crossing, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Lori here, I'm back. It's August 27th. It's been a crazy few days. I just want to say when I post this, it will probably be after the effects, but I hope everyone is safe from Hurricane Laura. My name is actually Laura, so I feel a little bit bizarre that my name is the force of a Category 4 hurricane, and I just hope everyone's safe and well and found a safe location to be okay in. But yeah, I just wanted to say that because I've never had a hurricane named after me, and never in my wildest dreams would I think that it would be so intense. But yeah, so last night I did wind up actually watching a couple of episodes of The Good Witch. It's just so lighthearted. It's like the world is like so chaotic in so many different ways, and it's just nice to kind of sit down and like watch a show that has such small stakes, and I really, really am liking it. I do actually want to watch some Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. tonight, but I've been watching a little bit more of that. I do actually want to get back to watching Avatar Book 3 because I have now finished Winter, my audiobook. I just have to catch up on that podcast that I've been listening to. But I am going to go do my nonfiction reading for the day, and I'm going to read chapter 2 in So You Want to Talk About Race, which is called What is Racism? So I'm going to go do that. I'm going to go find a new Skillshare class to take, and then I'll check in with you guys at like 9:30. Bye, guys. Sorry here, just checking back in. I did actually wind up finishing my chapter 2 in So You Want to Talk About Race, and I did start a new much longer Skillshare class. This class is probably going to take me a couple of weeks to do because it's a lot of lessons. I think it's like 33 lessons. But I did also want to come in and say that I did wind up reading to page 62 in Time of Our Lives. Hi guys, Lori here. I'm back. I did actually wind up going for a bike ride to kind of work off my frustration for a situation that happened. But I didn't wind up actually going to go read. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go eat. I'm going to work for a little bit. And then I'm probably going to go for another bike ride. And I'm going to probably read in the park. So that's probably my plan. But know that I am trying my hardest to live a balanced life. It's always something I struggle with. But I am trying to find a balance between reading, work, and enjoyment. And sometimes those things kind of work against each other in a little bit. But when I come back, hopefully I will have read a little bit more of my book and I can give you guys a little bit more of like an update. But I didn't do any reading. Sorry. Bye guys. It's Lori here. I'm back. It's much later. It's like 4:17. I just went up working. I actually got like 5 weeks of curriculum done, which I'm actually pretty proud of. And during the first round of COVID, I have like 15 weeks of curriculum set. So at the end of the day, I actually do have a pretty good basis. I do actually want to have a bunch more stuff prepped so that I can have like my basic units done through this format in case I need it. But other than that, I kind of took a listening break today. I really had major plans to like listen to like a bunch of stuff to catch up on, but I just was not in the mood. I'm gonna be honest. Like I just literally threw on some much older Mugglecast, which was like the episode when the Harry Potter book first debuted, and just kind of listened to them, and it was just nice to be back in a world of 2006 where the Harry Potter series was over, and it was just a wonderful listen. But I did wind up going to the park. A friend texted me and said that we might be getting a tornado, which never happens in Long Island and New York, so that's like bizarre and scary. But I think it's been very, very windy here, and I don't know if that's because of Hurricane Laura, not me, but like Hurricane Laura, because it's been very, very windy the past couple of days. But I don't know, but they do say we might be getting a hurricane, which is kind of scary. And whenever hurricanes or like winds happens, it tends to affect my like computer. So I didn't do everything that I wanted during my prep time, but I was able to finish a bunch of it. I can finish the rest next week. But I did wind up getting up to page 80 in Time of Our Lives by Emily Webberly and Austin Sigmund Broca. This is the perfect book that I think I needed to read when I was in college, like going to college. Because that's basically what this book is. It's kind of figuring where you belong, and the two characters, Fitz and Juniper, on totally different tracks in life. Like, one has all these plans and wants to go to all these colleges, and she's on this adventure to kind of find out her perfect college, and Fitz is kind of being forced into this to his mom, who has a bunch of different health issues, and he really felt like he has one set plan that he's going to go to. But I do like both of their perspectives a lot. They have finally met in the book, and I'm curious like how that's gonna kind of develop, because she does have a boyfriend, and I sometimes struggle with like cheating narratives in books, but I'm curious if it's gonna kind of go that way, because Juniper and her boyfriend do seem a little bit different, and they may not be like kind of endgame, but we'll see. But I definitely will talk about my college experience in this reading vlog. I really do hope to finish a lot of this today, because tomorrow starts the Owlcrate Readathon, and I would like to participate in that. So this was a longer update than I was planning, but I did want to say that I definitely am liking this book. I think the college elements is a really important book to put in a book, because kids always like feel like they're like kind of floundering. I know I did when I was choosing my college, so I like that that's kind of the topic of this, like a lot. But I'm gonna go get some dinner, and then I'm probably gonna read, and then I'll probably update you guys again. Bye. Hi guys, Lori here, I'm back. It's about 6 o'clock. I did actually wind up running up to page 110 in Time of Our Lives by Emily Webberly and Austin Sigmund Broca. This book is reminding me so much of when I was like applying to college or when I was applying to like grad school, like especially when I was applying to college. I went to college. My first year in college was 2007. Oh, 2007 to 2000, well, the start of 2006 to 2010. And I live on Long Island. I live in New York, and my college I chose was 5 hours away from my house in upstate New York, which I had never been before. And I went to Wells College, which was a small liberal arts college that basically transformed my life. Like, it was probably one of the best experiences I ever had. It pushed me back into theater. It was like it was a mostly all women college. Like, we did have men because it was co-ed, but it was such an enjoyable experience. But this book is really reminding me of the process of like kind of, you know, I went to Virginia to go look at my cousin's college, which I didn't wind up liking. I went to a bunch of schools on Long Island, and I was really convinced that I was going to go to a school on Long Island because that's kind of what I had thought. And then I went to Wells, and then I applied to a couple other colleges, that just like freebies that I was like, well, if I get it, maybe I'll consider going there. But I distinctly remember like going to school and being like, ooh, is this the building? Is this where I'm gonna be? And I remember just finding when I found Wells, I was like, okay, this is the college I'm meant to be. And I remember when I went to grad school the first time, I remember I just kind of went to a school that like I had picked the first time around and kind of thought I would like it. It wasn't the best experience. But my second time I went to grad school, I really, really enjoyed. So I really like that they're both kind of going through this process, and they're both have very, very different opinions of this process. They both are very, very different. And you can kind of see like Fitz is with his brother and Juniper's with her boyfriend. And you can kind of see even those two people, their different opinions about the college process, and I just like it. I think like right now I would really like them to become more of friends and not like lead into the romance, but I'm sure it will probably go that way. But I'm really liking how they're kind of touring all these colleges, and they're kind of seeing like what they like and what they don't like. I think Fitz is just such a fun character, and I like Juniper. Comes from a very like her family is very, very much involved in her life, and her family doesn't want her to move away. You also get flashbacks, or they kind of tell you their past. It's just a very, very fascinating read. I'm really enjoying it. But yeah, and they're having moments together. It's not as much as I thought. If you would have thought what this book was about, I thought, like, before I read it, I thought it was going to be something totally different. But I'm really, really liking it. It's definitely reminding me of, like, going, like, hunting for my college, which took, like, 6 to 7 months. But yeah, so I'm going to go read a little bit more, and I'll update you guys when I can. Just checking back in. It's about 8:30, and I did actually wind up getting up to page 156 in Time of Our Lives. This book definitely has massive college vibes, but I am liking it. I'm finding it very interesting that it is definitely more of like a friendship read between these two characters. I'm liking that a lot. These characters are very different. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the character dynamics in You Say It First by Katie Cotugno, because the characters were very different from two very, very different lives. These characters, but I like these characters a little bit more than I like those characters, so definitely that has an increased element. I also really like that they're going to different colleges, so that's kind of one path, and they are also with people, like Fitz is with his brother, Jubilee, I think her name is, yeah, Jubilee. Juniper, sorry. Jubilee was in a different book. Juniper is with her with her boyfriend, so there is that. It doesn't seem like the cheating thing I don't know. It seems more friendship than cheating right now, which I'm okay with. But yeah, I'm gonna try to read like another like 50 pages. Tomorrow starts the Owlcrate Readathon, and I really did want to participate in that. So what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to just add a day, but I do definitely want to finish this. Also, August is a little bit longer than I thought. I thought August ended this weekend, but it doesn't. So I have a few more days actually of this month than I thought. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to probably do the Owlcrate Readathon until the end of the month, which is my plan. So I'm going to go try to read a little bit more of this, and then I'll check in with you guys. Hey, it's Lori here. I'm back. It's 10:05. It is Friday. Sorry, days, weeks, all this crazy stuff. August 28th. Last night, I did actually wind up reading up to page 200. Now I'm on page 210 in Time of Our Lives. Guys, this book is like really, really fun. It definitely took like an unexpected twist like in the middle. So some of my leeriness at the start of the book kind of has evaporated a little bit. But they're in New York City for a college tour and they went to the Strand. I have not been to the Strand since February. So it's been nice to kind of see the city through their eyes because I don't know when I'm going to be back in the city. Like, even if I do go back to work, I don't know when I'm going to be in the city. But it's a really, really fun read. I'll say that. Like, I'm liking the elements of kind of searching for college. They're very different characters. I really like that. I'm getting a lot more friendship vibes from them, but I'm expecting it to become romance, but I'm liking it. They're in very, very different parts of their lives, and they're both kind of dealing with the aspect of colleges and like where they want to go, and they both have things holding them back or pushing them forward. And I'm really, really liking it. I'm excited to see the second half of this book because they've kind of been playing catch up throughout this whole book, but they're kind of going to be more in like one location together, which I'm really excited about. But today is a Friday, so I don't normally do schoolwork on Fridays, and I'm going to really try to finish this book so I can participate in the Owlcrate Readathon. I have my TBR over there. But yeah, when I come back, I will probably update you. I think we might go shopping. My mom has yet to tell me if we are because she has off Fridays, and that's kind of the day like we run our errands. But yeah, I'm going to go do some work or go start my book if I can, and I'll talk to you guys when I'm done or when I read a little bit more. Bye. Hey, it's Lori here. I'm back. It is almost 4:30. I did actually wind up going out with my mom. We actually ran a bunch of errands. I went to Barnes & Noble. I did some shopping. You'll see that in my upcoming book haul in early September. We had this whole drama with trying to buy an exercise bike, and we bought it. It was trying to fit in my car. It didn't fit in my car. Then we had to return it, and then we tried to call someone to get another one, but they can't. Oh, it's just so much dramatic. COVID has made getting exercise equipment so much more challenging. And because going to a gym right now is kind of not easy for me, just because I don't know about work and stuff, like, it's very, very challenging. But in other positive news, I did wind up reading a little bit more of Time of Our Lives in between all that. I did go for a bike ride. So now I'm on page 253. It's definitely leaning in the romance direction that I was kind of chatting about. But I still really do like them as friends. So I think that these two characters are very good at like challenging each other. And I like that. You know, I like the setup of this book a lot, that they're kind of both venturing to pick out their own colleges, and they kind of wound up being thrown together in kind of an unexpected way. They're very, very different. I think that they both challenge each other a lot, and they both have a lot of stuff going on, so I'm really enjoying that part of the book. I'm just not sure how I will feel about the end. I'll have to report back on that, like at the very end, if I'm okay with the ending. But I feel like I may have spied a character from another book. I'll have to one of the other books that they were writing about. I don't know if that was that person, but it was like very, very called out. And I'm like, I wonder if that was the person from Always Never Yours. But I'll have to like double check with them and see if I'm correct. But I'll probably tweet the authors. But I'm going to go read a little bit more and then I'll update you guys again. Bye. It's about 6:30. I did actually wind up reading up to page 300. Or about 300 in Time of Our Lives. I did get to see the cameo of the characters of If I'm Being Honest, which is Cameron and Brandon. They were in this book, which I really, really liked. Again, it was like a small snippet. So now I'm just curious, like, what has happened to them since and what's going to happen to them in the future, because it was like one little scene. But I really do like the characters. I think that the elements of touring colleges is super interesting, and I'm finding this book to be a very, very fun read. I don't think it's my favorite of theirs, I will say that. I think my favorite is probably the other two, but I do like this as like a concept novel, and I do like how different the characters are, and they're also really challenging what they thought they wanted from a college. Juniper really wanted to go far away from home. Fitz really wanted to stay close to home, and I think it may be the opposite for them. So, but yeah, and I think the relationship is fun. I think it would have been, I would have also enjoyed it if maybe they would have just stayed friends, but I am liking it. And I think the brother character of Fitz is just funny. So, yeah, I'm going to go back to reading and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Right here, I'm actually here to wrap up this reading vlog because late last night I wasn't feeling my best. I had a really bad headache for most of the day and I just was not feeling my best. But I did wind up finishing Time of Our Lives by Emily Webberly and Austin Sigmund Broca. I wound up finding this book to be a very fun read. It definitely wasn't my favorite, but I thought the concept of this novel was very fun. We did get some character cameos from the characters in If I'm Being Honest, which is their sophomore novel. This is their junior novel. This is not necessarily a Shakespeare retelling, but it does follow two characters, Fitz and Jubilee, as they're going on a college tour. I found this book to be very much a self-discovery novel for both characters. I liked it. The romance was okay. I don't think it necessarily needed the romance element. I thought it could have been as a friendship, and I think it would have been fine, but I know why they did the romance route. I thought it was a very fast-paced read. I thought the characters were so different, very compelling. They both had such solid elements. So this was the second book I read in this, and I wound up giving this 4 stars. The first book I wound up reading in this reading vlog is Yes, No, Maybe So by Becky Albertalli and Alicia Syed. This is definitely more of a modern day political novel, super funny. Both these books were incredibly entertaining and they're both actually written by 2 authors, which I find to be super fun. This book is set in the backdrop of Alabama during a very contentious political election, and you follow Jamie and Meyer, who are trying to make some resistance chains. I thought this book was so funny. I wound up giving this book 5 stars, and I wound up giving this book 4 stars. Also, during this reading vlog, I did finish listening to Winter by Marissa Meyer, which was my audiobook. Now I'm going to go start my next reading vlog, and I'll talk to you guys for that. Bye, guys.